say we living fast, but what they really mean is we're running from something. The streets got stories, cold ones, scary ones, and out here truth don't sleep. I seen good men lose their way, killers turn to ghosts, injustice take too long to answer the call. But this
is 12 gauge and it's
where every case pleads true.
Every file got a heartbeat,
and every cold trail still got smoke rising.
We talking about living fast, dying young, but fighting to live right now.
Cause legends don't fade, they echo through the evidence, through the crime scenes, through every voice that never got heard. This ain't entertainment, it's real life reloaded.
Welcome to 12 gauge and it's
All right. How's everybody doing on this Wednesday night? My name is 12 Gauge and welcome to my channel, 12 Gauge Investigative. If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. Tonight I wanted to do a different spin on the true crime community. I want to do something involving local raids at strip clubs that are being used for human trafficking. You know, this is a problem all across the world. Human trafficking is just another name for individuals that are either doing things against their will or they're doing things in the sex industry for their own gain. And as you know, a lot of times people get into that lifestyle not because it's something that they feel they want to do, but many times they do it because they feel that there's no other way out. So these people get caught up in the lifestyle, drugs, fast money, and dangerous people. So tonight I want to share a story that's coming out of Dallas, Texas, and then we're just going to kind of jump around a little bit and see what the night holds. So let's get started with this story right out of Dallas, Texas. Let's start with this one.
WFAA just obtained new.
And if you've ever been to Dallas, you do understand that the Harry Hines district is one of the hottest areas for adult entertainment. In the late 80s, early 90s, there used to be Northwest Highway where they had most of the strip clubs and most of the nightlife. So Dallas has always been a hot spot for the adult industry. There's a lot of adult strip clubs all over the Metroplex. Well, here let's see what they got to say about this bust.
Information about last week's raid at a strip club in Dallas. Homeland Security officials tell us ICE agents arrested 41 people at the Chicas Bonitas Cabaret off Harry Hines. Richard Solomon just spoke with authorities and joins us live with a look at what's happening there at the scene.
Well, yeah, Chris, it was this strip here off Harry Hines where local, federal, and state officials arrested 41 people. It happened, like you said, at this strip club behind me, Chicas Bonitas. But what led officials here to begin with was suspected human trafficking. Now, according to ICE, this bust happened last Friday. 41 people, including 29 suspected of working in the club, were taken into custody by ICE officials for immigration violations. Now, during the raid, officials also...
So I looked this strip club up because I lived in that area. I lived in South Fort Worth for a lot of years. So I looked up this location and I kind of know where it's at. This obviously looks like something that's set up for business to cater to certain types of individuals. But wait until you see the cameras and you see the footage of the people that are coming out of this location during the daytime. So usually strip clubs open, I would say, for business Back in the day, I would say probably about 4:30 for happy hour, but um this, I don't know. It seems like it's open 24 hours. Let's check it out.
Sees $30,000 in business records. ICE says they're still processing those taken into custody, but they can say right now at least 5 of the individuals that they've arrested do have prior criminal convictions. Now, this raid comes at a time when ICE facilities are under fire. You'll remember just last Wednesday, investigators say 29-year-old Joshua Yan opened fire at an ICE detention facility in Dallas, shooting 3 detainees. One person died that day. And just yesterday, officials confirmed a second victim has now died from his injuries. But as it pertains to this bust here in Dallas, investigators say they are still processing a lot of the suspects who they arrested, and they are still trying to identify if there are any victims of human trafficking. Now, of course, this is a story we will continue to keep you updated on once we learn more. For now, in Dallas this afternoon, I'm Richard Solomon. Back to you.
So, as I was saying a while ago, and hi, Wormus, thank you so much for being in the chat. You said noted. All right, cool. Yeah, Dallas is very, very hardcore for adult entertainment. Like I was saying about this establishment, 41 people were arrested.
Federal agents, along with state and local.
And most people that were arrested, the 5 that were arrested, were illegals, which with prior history with not being in the country legally for one a couple had DWI offenses, another one had prostitution as one of the offenses. So think about this a little bit. Many people, when they go into an establishment such as this, you're looking to have a good time. You're looking to drink a little bit. You're looking to be entertained by the dancers. But some people take it too far. They believe that if they're blowing money on these individuals, these females, that they deserve to be compensated for whatever money is being pushed that direction. At a point in my life, I had a lot of female friends that were dancers, and most of them were not that typical, I'm going to dance for you in the club, then we're going to do something a little freaky afterwards. Because believe it or not, and I've said this before because I've done multitudes of lives on, I'd guess 2 or 3 on strippers, right? So, um, if if you leave with a dancer and you've tipped them in the club and you leave with them, they can call the police on you and charge you with prostitution. I didn't know this until one day, one of my buddies thought that, he was being a player, and next thing I know, he's bringing out a dancer, and the manager's coming out and said, "You leave with them. I'm going to call the cops and get you for prostitution." Blah blah blah. I don't know how true that is, but if you know the law regarding that, please type that in the chat. And here's the same report, but it's a different and longer. I guess it's 35 in Dallas.
During the raid at the Chicas Bonitas Cabaret.
Well, yeah, Chris, it was this strip here off Harry Hines where local, federal, and state officials arrested.
Okay, this is off Harry Hines. So it's over there, all in that area. Harry Hines, Northwest Highway, Webb Chapel Hill, or Chapel Webb, or Chapel Hill, all those. It is a big area for drugs and prostitution. Harry Hines in the late 80s, early 90s, there used to be people walking the streets. Like I said, I used to live in that area. There was a lot of prostitution, a lot of drug dealers, and a lot of murders that I saw at age 16. Very dangerous neighborhood.
41 people. It happened, like you said, at this strip club behind me, Chicas Bonitas. But what led officials here to begin with was suspected human trafficking. Now, according to ICE, this bust happened last Friday.
What if I told you that behind the flashing lights and music of a Dallas strip club, federal agents
Bro, I tell you, the same shit happens every night at this time with the internet. I don't know what is going on. I really don't. I don't know if it is just a high traffic area for the Wi-Fi. But hold on a second. I'm gonna change that. Hold on. Sorry about that. I'm connecting at another router to hopefully help with the situation. Like I said, I don't know what it is about this time where I always get booted for the freaking internet and it's booting you. Hold on a second. Let me retrieve this passwords. Okay, I'm back. I'm back, and so are a lot of you. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for that. I'm going to remove some of this stuff. Maybe that's what's kicking me. But let's go back to this video. Thank you so much for hanging out. Maybe I can do a video without having freaking internet problems. Hello, Texas. How are you doing? How are you doing tonight? I, like always, am having internet problems. Not sure why, but this seems to be a running thing these days. It's showing strong signal and everything, and I don't understand why it continued to boot me. But let's do this while we got good signal.
Begin with was suspected human trafficking. Now, according to ICE, this bust happened last Friday.
What if I told you that behind the flashing lights and music of a Dallas strip club, federal agents just uncovered one of the most disturbing human trafficking operations in Texas history? Would you believe that 41 criminals were operating a sex trafficking empire right under the noses of local authorities until ICE and HSI decided to bring the hammer down? Well, that's exactly what happened when federal law enforcement stormed Chicas Bonitas Cabaret and exposed a criminal network that turned vulnerable people into commodities for profit.
And as y'all know, that human trafficking becomes such a big deal because unlike drugs, it's easier to get your product, and you can continue to use it over and over and over and over and over until you can't use it anymore and go and replenish it with another person. That's what the dangerous part of human trafficking is all about. Plus, these individuals are promised a lot of things once they come into the US. Like, especially at this club right here. Let's say this club was ran illegally by the Mexican nationals, okay? So they had dancers that were not legal, or if they were legal, let's say that they were supplying some kind of need for these dancers, whether it be monetarily, whether it be a place to live, because you're going to see in a video setup and a camera setup, you're going to see that these people were actually living in the back of this establishment. And many massage parlors are the same way. A lot of times, the massage parlors that are being raided have beds set up in the back. The people are living out of the back of the business, which violates all the codes associated with running a adult type business such as this. I don't even want to get started on the massage parlors. I'm sure if you've ever witnessed a massage parlor, there's some good ones and then there's some shady ones. But as you can see, there's a lot of vehicles that are in the parking lot. I don't know if this is a car lot or an impound yard or this is the parking lot. But if you notice, a lot of adult businesses such as this, they always have kind of like a side business that is legit covering up the illegal stuff. It's almost like we'll put the car lot here in front of the strip club. That way people can't really see it from the street of what's really going in and out of the business. And it'll confuse them as to what they're really seeing as the people that are coming in and around this area.
Stay with me until the end to see how this federal raid dismantled an entire trafficking operation the shocking evidence agents discovered inside, and why this takedown sends a clear message that America will not tolerate human exploitation on our soil. Before I continue, be sure to hit that subscribe button as it fuels all the effort that goes behind these videos. Let's break it down. how federal agents infiltrated the network, and why this Dallas raid exposed the darkest secrets of human trafficking operations. Dallas, Texas just became the epicenter of one of the most significant human trafficking busts in recent federal law enforcement history. And it didn't happen in some remote warehouse or abandoned building. It happened at Chicas Bonitas Cabaret, a strip club operating in plain sight where 41 criminals thought they could turn human beings into profit without consequence. On September 26, 2025, Homeland Security Investigations Dallas, working with ICE and other federal, state, and local law enforcement partners, executed a precision operation that exposed what federal agents are calling a sophisticated sex trafficking enterprise. This wasn't small-time exploitation. This was organized crime that federal authorities had been tracking for months.
And if you're familiar with the organized crime RICO law, that is a law that was put into place to take down organized crime. And there's been a lot of organized crime that has been tried under the RICO law. And this is in Dallas, Texas, off of Harry Hines. And I know you've heard of that, Texas, so this is where this is at.
The raid targeted Chicas Bonitas Cabaret in Dallas, a strip club located on Harry Hines Boulevard in the northwestern part of the city. Federal agents moved in simultaneously, ensuring no evidence could be destroyed and no criminals could escape. Their coordination demonstrated the seriousness of the threat this criminal network posed to the community. What makes this operation so significant isn't just the number of arrests or the victims rescued. It's what it reveals about how trafficking networks embed themselves in legitimate businesses and exploit vulnerabilities in our communities.
Can you imagine wanting to come into the U.S. to get a legit jump on making money to take care of your family back home? And they offer you this type of establishment where you got to work this hour, these hours, you got to do all this stuff, or, we're going to do something to you. A lot of these young females that come over illegally are thrust into these enterprises of sex trafficking due to the fact that who are they going to call? Who's going to help them? They're not here legally. Who's going to believe them? And they're facing being extradited back into their country where they just left. They spent a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of mileage getting here, and then predators prey on them. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying they should be here, shouldn't be here. This is not a political channel, so I'm not going to get into all that. But the truth of the matter is a lot of that is being exploited to get what people want from these people that are here illegally looking to make money.
Operation pulls back the curtain on a criminal enterprise that was hiding in plain sight. Human trafficking investigations don't happen overnight. Federal agents spent months gathering evidence, conducting surveillance, and mapping the criminal network operating out of Chicas Bonitas Cabaret. This meticulous approach allowed them to build a comprehensive case that would stand up in court. ICE didn't work alone. This operation required coordination between Homeland Security Investigations, Removal Operations Dallas Field Office, the Dallas Police Department, the Texas Department of Public Safety, the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission, the U.S. Marshal Service, and the Internal Revenue Service's Criminal Investigation Division. When federal agencies coordinate like this, it means the threat is serious and the criminal enterprise is sophisticated. The raid itself was law enforcement at its finest.
So they found $30,000 in that strip club. They arrested 41 people. And we'll take a tour here in a minute once we get through this, and I'll show you the neighborhood and what this is located at.
Agents moved simultaneously to ensure no evidence was destroyed and no criminals escaped. 41 arrests don't happen by accident. This was months of investigative work culminating in a coordinated takedown. What agents found inside Chicas Bonitas Cabaret confirmed their worst fears. This wasn't just a strip club with some illegal activity on the side. Federal investigators uncovered evidence of systematic human trafficking, exploitation of vulnerable individuals, and a criminal network designed to profit from human misery. The evidence was substantial. Agents seized approximately $30,000 in U.S. currency, along with business records that documented the trafficking operation. These records will prove crucial in prosecuting those responsible and dismantling the entire criminal network. Sex trafficking operations require organization, recruitment.
Do you know the sad part is this one was busted? Another one's gonna rise back up almost the next day. I used to walk through that neighborhood on my way to my job at the movie theater whenever I was 16, Texas. Used to see pimps, hoes, and drug dealers and everything else going down because there's a railroad track that goes through Harry Hines off of Northwest Highway over there by Webb Chapel. So I used to walk and see all kinds of stuff when I was 16 years old. Hey, typically.
Control mechanisms and financial systems. Federal agents uncovered how this network identified vulnerable victims, brought them under control, and forced them into exploitation. Think about this for a moment. While families across Dallas were going about their daily lives, criminals were operating a business based entirely on human exploitation just miles away. The traffickers didn't see victims, they saw profit margins. Of the 41 individuals arrested, 29 were suspected of illegally working at the club. But these weren't just immigration violations. This was part of a systematic exploitation scheme where vulnerable individuals were trapped in a cycle of abuse and control. Among those arrested were several individuals with extensive criminal histories, demonstrating how trafficking networks often include violent offenders. These included Juan Carlos Salas Medina, a Mexican national who had illegally entered the United States 10 times and had convictions for aggravated assault of a family member, drug possession, and driving under the influence. Another arrestee, Julio Cesar Martinez, had 3 prior convictions for assault causing bodily injury. Other criminals arrested included Victor Manuel Manzano Ramirez, who had illegally entered the U.S. twice and had a DUI conviction, Gustavo Rojas Garda, another individual with a DUI conviction, and Genaro Diaz Perez, who had prior convictions for prostitution-related offenses. These weren't simply
So all these people had priors, right? And we always ask ourselves on this channel, especially when you hear of individuals that had priors and they were let back into the community to cause more harm. That one guy at the very beginning, he had 10 charges. 10. And yet he was in the community able to do this stuff. And all these other guys had multiple charges. But yet, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Nothing wrong with that. I believe that if you're here and you break the law first time, it's kind of like catch and send it back. Back to sender. There should be none of this catch and release crap.
undocumented workers. They were part of a criminal network with a history of violence and exploitation. ICE's primary mission wasn't just arrests, it was victim identification and rescue. Human trafficking victims often can't or won't identify themselves due to trauma.
Either the bed set up in the back. Looks like a hotel room, right? But they're set up in the back to do extracurricular activities.
Fear or control mechanisms traffickers use. Federal agents are specially trained to recognize signs of trafficking and provide immediate assistance to survivors. The 41 arrests tell us this network was extensive. In sex trafficking operations, criminals fill different roles: recruiters, transporters, controllers, financial operators, and facility managers. Each arrest represents someone who chose to profit from human suffering. Here's why this case required federal intervention. Human trafficking often crosses state lines, involves international elements, and requires resources that local law enforcement may not have. HSI has specialized training, federal authorities, and coordination capabilities specifically designed for these complex investigations. Federal law enforcement operates under the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, which gives agencies like HSI the tools they need to prosecute traffickers and protect survivors. This isn't just about arresting criminals. It's about ensuring victims receive the support and legal protections they deserve. ICE uses sophisticated investigative techniques for trafficking cases, financial analysis to track money flows, digital forensics to uncover communications, surveillance operations to map criminal networks, and victim-centered approaches that prioritize survivor safety and testimony. The 41 arrests at Chicas Bonitas Cabaret represent the beginning, not the end, of the federal response. Each defendant will face federal charges that carry significant prison sentences. Federal prosecutors don't negotiate with human traffickers. They pursue maximum penalties under federal law. The Chicas Bonitas Cabaret operation exposes a disturbing reality. Human trafficking is happening in communities across America, often hidden behind legitimate businesses. Federal authorities estimate hundreds of thousands of people are trafficked in the United States every year. Texas's location, major cities, and transportation networks make it both a transit state and destination for human trafficking. Operations like this show that federal law enforcement is actively targeting these networks wherever they operate. This case proves that trafficking can happen anywhere, in strip clubs, massage businesses, hotels, private residences, or seemingly legitimate enterprises. Federal agents rely on community awareness and reporting to identify potential trafficking situations. ICE's mission extends beyond enforcement to prevention and victim protection. The agency works with community organizations, provides training to identify trafficking signs, and ensures survivors have access to services and legal protections.
And you know, it's essential as somebody just on the street. Let's say you're in Walmart. Let's say you're at a convenience store, whatever, wherever you're at. It's always good to know the signs of human trafficking or smuggling going on. And some of these can be right under your face and you not even realize what's going on. Like some of the signs that you can look for, let's say that you have experienced, people that either have a lot of physical abuse, their hygiene is not as good, um, they're easily controlled. There's always somebody there next to them. A lot of times these traffickers don't let these individuals out in public. But should you see this in the grocery stores or wherever, it's always good to be mindful of these situations going on. Not that you got to be a superhero, not that you have to save the world, but whose life might you save if you see something, you say something, right? And you can always report it anonymously.
As described by HSI Dallas Special Agent in Charge Travis Pickard, HSI Dallas and ICE are committed to eradicating the vile scourge of sex trafficking from our local communities. This statement highlights the federal commitment to eliminating human trafficking wherever it exists. Pickard further explained, working in conjunction with our federal and local partners and leveraging unique investigative authorities, we were able to disrupt the suspected trafficking operation at this cabaret and are working to identify potential victims. This demonstrates how federal agencies are not only focused on arrests, but on identifying and assisting victims.
Okay, it kind of just repeats itself after this, so I want to go back and kind of give you a map. This is a sad case right here. It really is. I can't even think of her name, but that was a teacher that supposedly mess with that young kid. This is the location in which this business is located. And it was a car lot in front of it. I was correct. As you can see, it's kind of hidden back here. So if you don't know what you're looking for or where you're looking, everything else is kind of camouflaging it. You know what I mean? It's like looks like a body shop or some sort. There's a car lot. There's more type industrialized area. These look like storage. What is a Raves Imports warehouse? So this is a warehouse, and across the street, it's just kind of like a tool place. So if you're passing this place on either side of the street, let's say you're just driving by, are you really going to be aware that this is a strip club back here? I don't believe you would. I don't believe that if you saw this from the street, you're driving in this lane right here, unless you knew this was back here, you wouldn't know what the hell that was. You might think that that's like a nightclub or something because there's not a big ass sign that says gentleman's club that I can see. And most of the legitimate ones have big, extravagant signs. This looks like you have to go some extensive way to get back there to be able to even go into that parking lot. So it looks like you go through here to park your vehicle over here. So let's take a tour down Harry Hines. This is a street in Dallas, like I said, where a lot of shady stuff happens because it's more industrialized. And over the years, it's become very, very overran by different types of criminal entities. There's a lot of adult bookstores down this because it's typically on the outskirts of Dallas, and that's where most of the most of the adult businesses are able to be ran because of the proximity in which their business is located. So this is kind of looking around. I took my little nephew down here when we went to a concert. I was trying to show him exactly where he used to live at. And I can show you guys. I don't care because I don't live there anymore. I lived there when I was a kid. And see, there's a lot of just pawn shops that looks like it says Paris. There it is. That's what I thought. That's where that was. I've seen this on another video that I was watching. That Paris place right here, the smoke shop, it is also an adult toy store. And the reason I know about this is because I was watching this video on YouTube, and this guy was driving around at night and he was showing this location. Well, this toy store right here has women at night that are walking up and down the sidewalk and all around the parking lot in nothing but lingerie. So, if you can imagine, this place right here is a very popular location for adult toys and such. And once again, look what's next to it. A legitimate business, a car lot. And I just kind of put that together on my own that, most of these places, they have some kind of legitimate business, which could be a car lot, some kind of business where you wouldn't even really think twice about what that is. So you look at this adult bookstore, okay? You see the sign, you see what it says. It says arcade novelties 24/7. So it's open 24 hours, 7 days a week. But if you're driving by, you're thinking it's a smoke shop. There's no real advertisement to show you otherwise. So a lot of these things are hidden in plain sight. Like I said, the only reason I knew about that adult toy store is because I was watching that video and I was like, wow, that is wild. They have those girls just walking around. And I was wondering if those girls were prostitutes, you know what I mean? But they weren't getting into vehicles on the premises. So, but there was people um approaching them. And see, this looks like an area that's been taken by, I don't know if they're legitimate Spanish businesses or these are just individuals that are not legally here that are opening up these businesses. And just like everything else, sex sells. It really does. No telling what that is. But if it's on the street, you can only imagine. And here's another bookstore. Not a bookstore, but like a novelty store where you can get toys and everything else. And just like that other one, is easy in, easy out. So, um, and if you're ever in this area, you can go and get you some purses and rugs and all this other stuff. I mean, there is all types of, it's almost like Little Mexico over here. It really is. And CBD, beauty supply, kratom. So you roll right in there, get what you need, and roll out. So this is one part of Harry Hines. Obviously, this flows in two directions, but as you can tell, these are like tote to note type car lots. And then you reach the interstate up here. So you can only imagine what this looks like at night. Let me take it back and take you to Northwest Highway, which used to be the hot spot. See, I went to school over here at Royal Lane. So let's see where Northwest Highway is. See, I didn't spend a lot of time down here as an adult. I mean, I was over here as a kid because we lived over here in this area. See, there's Webb Chapel. And there used to be a movie theater at the corner of Webb Chapel and 35, which is here's 35. There used to be a United Artists movie theater right here. And this is where I worked. So I would go down Webb Chapel. I would walk all the way down Webb Chapel until you hit Harry Hines. It was a hell of a walk. And here's Harry Hines right here. And we lived, let me see if I can show you where we used to live. Don't ask me how I know. See, we lived over here. And I worked way the hell over here. So, as a 16-year-old kid, let me see if I can go right where it is, because this is over there by Northwest Highway. Let's see if I can find those apartments right here. You see a homeboy. Let me go over there. See, everything is different. They didn't look like this, obviously, whenever we lived there. They were run down. This was in the 80s, so this is what they look like now. Let me go back. Story apartments, right? The hell's that mean? See, look at these damn apartments now. That is some shit, bro. See, they did not look like this at all. This area did not look like this. It was run down, saturated by drug dealers, pimps, hoes, and you name it. At 16 years old, I saw stuff I shouldn't have seen ever in my lifetime. That is just crazy to me. So let's go to Northwest Highway. Okay, this is North. Right here is Northwest Highway. This is where all the strip clubs used to be on Northwest Highway. And obviously, not anymore, right? It's like there's nothing here but apartments and condos. Wow. Let's go into the business district. As you can see, Dallas is a very cleaner type city. See, it's modern. All this was not like this back in the day. It was not. It was very ghetto. Very ghetto. Very ghetto. Are y'all still here with me? Y'all still here? Thank God. Venereal disease. Let me take you to one of the places where I used to work. This is Star Drive. That's not where I used to work. Hold on a second. I worked right around the corner from the Texas Theater where JFK got shot. Which here's the Texas Theater right here. Hope you are enjoying this. I hope I'm not boring y'all too badly. I'm just giving you kind of a tour of my own stomping grounds. Where'd that little yellow dude go? Well, here's the Texas Theater right here. This is where Lee Harvey Oswald was apprehended. This is Jefferson Boulevard down in Oak Cliff. This is one of the areas where I used to work. It was off 11th or Zang. Where's that little dude, man? I think this is it right here, West 10th. Because it's not far from that Texas Theater. I don't know where that little dude went that you can drop anywhere. Do y'all know where he went? Do y'all know how I can get that little dude back? Let's see. So the Texas Theater is right here off Jefferson Boulevard. Possibly I don't have that little dude because there's not any streets that are able to go down this area. But as you can tell, this is where Lee Harvey Oswald was apprehended. Not long after, he supposedly shot the president. He supposedly killed an officer. I think his last name was Tippit. And he ran to the Texas Theater. There used to be a restaurant we used to go and eat at over here. It's called Senor Frogs or something like that. I'll tell you, everything's so different. You know what's crazy about Oak Cliff is if you're in this area, it's very run down in certain parts. If you head to the east, it's very run down. But then you go this way, and within a couple of blocks, you're in the art district over here. There's a lot of art. And it's very interesting because every day, I'm pretty sure this is where it used to be. This used to be where I used to work right here. They called it Homeward Bound because there's that big ass parking lot. I used to park my car over here late at night. I had to walk across here, go get in my vehicle. There was usually nobody else's car there because this parking lot was always taken. Well, let me tell you a story about this. This was a detox facility in Dallas, Texas. This is where you'd go to detox off heroin, crack, alcohol, and that's the area where I worked, the detox unit. I worked on the top floor here, and these windows right here would not open. You could literally look outside and they would not open. There was a long office right here. There was a little bitty room right here, and the rest of it was where patients would be sleeping. And there was a little day room right here and a nurse's station and a hallway. and the rest of it was like inpatient stuff where you could do long-term residential. And back here with the women's department. Well, let me tell you about this office right here. We shared this office between three counselors. Okay, three counselors. There was three desks up against the wall. So these people would come in here needing to make phone calls to their family, needing to um, talk to the therapist, this, that, and the other, get their treatment plan, do their individual, do all this and that and the other. Well, in the summer, if you've ever been in Dallas, Texas in the summer, it's really, really freaking humid and it's hot. So the AC would always go out, right? So we'd try to crack open this window, but you couldn't because they don't want people escaping out of these windows or anything coming in. So we would try to crack it open. In the winter, the heater never works. So you try to get some kind of heat in this office, and it was so to speak. It's awful. It was awful. But I learned a lot at this place. I learned a lot. This is where I got really educated to pass my state test. And now it looks like a fitness place. Well, you just look at that. Look at those yoga pants. And see, all this stuff was not as there used to be a pizza place a couple blocks away named Genties. We used to go and eat at this pizza place all the freaking time. And I think they changed the name. This is what it used to be. Taco Uvino. Like I said, it used to be primarily art district area, and it looks like it changed to a lot of different areas. But when I bought my car in 2007, I was paranoid as hell to park it in this parking lot because I used to get out at 8 o'clock at night. And when you go into this area every morning or every afternoon, you'd see a guy pushing a little, um, I don't know if you've ever seen those guys in the movies or if you've actually seen them in real life. They push like a little cooler, and inside they have frozen treats and all this other stuff. But this guy wasn't selling treats. He was selling heroin and coke and everything else out of his little cooler. And he'd literally come down this street and wait for people to be released from this detox to get them back on the heroin. It was wild, man. It was wild. Like I said, there's the Texas Theater, and I wanted to go to that place so many times. I just never made it. I know where it's at. I can always go there, but it's off Jefferson Boulevard in Dallas, Texas, if you're ever in the area. Hey, Convicts Thoughts, thank you for being here, buddy. So, another area that wasn't too far from there was the street in which Lee Harvey Oswald shot the individual, Officer Tippit, and took off toward the Texas Theater. So there's a little piece of Texas history there. Been wondering how you been, AR. Haven't seen any lives from you or anything like that. I was hoping that you're doing all right. I know the last time I heard you were having surgery on your hand or something like that. Hope it healed all right. And if you've never been to Dallas, try to stay out of this area. Try to stay out of the Oak Cliff area. Try to stay out of South Dallas. It is very dangerous and it's not for everybody. Now, you hit Arlington, you're pretty good. You stay in the south side of Arlington. It's a lot more Asian area in Arlington, but this little area between Fort Worth and Dallas, this is where I used to live for a lot of years as well. And let me show you the place. Because people don't understand as a therapist, um, you have to do what's called an internship. Okay? So there's California. Where's the one in Fort Worth? I know there's one. Here it is, off of Berry. Right here. I'm going to show you a place where I used to work. And if you've ever been to Fort Worth, you understand that maybe I could have done that with that other also. Let me go around here so I can show you my old office. This is off 35 and Berry in Fort Worth. And it used to be called Helping Open People's Eyes. And obviously, I don't even know if it's in business anymore. But let me go up here so I can show you what type of environment it was. This right here used to be my office. You see the guard rails over the windows? That used to be my office when I was an intern here. So this long area used to be the group room. And it went all the way back. And there was multitudes of group rooms and all kinds of stuff in there. It was a nice location. I mean, it really was. And this looks like the owner still had the same type vehicle. When was this taken? March 2025? What do those signs say? You will be towed. Yeah, it's still open. Looks like. That was my old office. I had the luxury of being at the front of the building as an intern. I worked there until I got my 2000 hours, and then I bounced. That other place that I just showed you in Dallas, that's where I went after this job. So, what I wanted to do, I wanted to get stable and learn as many modalities as I could regarding chemical dependency because you don't just see one type of patient as they walk into your door. Addiction doesn't discriminate, and it's never just one sided. Down the road though, let me see if I can get over here. How the hell did I end up under the freaking? This is crazy. Let me just type the place in. Place is called Volunteers of America. And if I can get close to there, I'll show you what. This is the very first place I worked at as an intern. This place is called Volunteers of America. As you can see, it looks like an old nursing home, but people coming from prison, this is a halfway house. And they would come into this environment. Well, I hope that you get stable, AR. I really do. We may not agree on a lot, but I never wish ill towards anybody. And This is the place that started my whole therapy journey. And this was located in Fort Worth. A lot of times you go out here and do groups and stuff. Looks like they have a garden and all kinds of stuff now. You go down this long ass driveway, which a lot of times people would be dropped off on their passes down here at the end of the driveway, so you could never tell whether they were drinking or drugging or they were bringing any contraband up to the home, because at that point there was no cameras or anything down this way. But let me tell you a story. When I first started at this location, I was driving this direction one night. And if you've ever been in this location, it looks nice and upper class. Well, it is. Until you hit Berry, because this is Riverside. Berry Street is the street where I just showed you my other place of employment was located, off Berry and 35. It's still looking nice, right? Driving this at night is not that big of a deal. And this is how much it's changed. Okay, because one night I was at this stoplight right here. Let me turn you around so that you can see where I was coming from. As you can see, that motel has been there for decades and decades and decades. That's where some of my clients used to come and hook up from the halfway house because it was men and women. Where did that? Okay, so across here there used to be like a large kind of grocery store. There's a there's a gas station, and there used to be another type of gas station or something right here. But I was at this stoplight that night, and over here used to be the parole office, which it is no more. Obviously, there's something else going up there. But like I said, and across here, there's another motel. These motels are usually the no-tell motels where they rent by the hour. Okay? So my clients would come to these places while they're supposed to be out looking for a job, and they would come and hook up with some of the females, you know. Well, I'm here at this stoplight. As I'm coming down, let me show you because I didn't get to the stoplight because it was wild. This was like 2007, so it was still wild, wild west. I get about this point right here, and I'm seeing tracers. I'm hearing gunshots all over this 4 points right here. It's going all over. And I stopped my car, I shit you not, and I watched this going on. I wasn't from the big city area at that point, so I didn't know anything that was going on other than there was gunshots, right? So what I did, I busted a U-turn, I jumped this curb right here, and I headed back that direction. Because another night, as you make a left here, this used to be the parole office for Tarrant County, right across in the worst areas that you can imagine. And as you make a left here, this is Berry Street. Can't believe, is that Church's? That used to be Church's Chicken right here. Obviously, it's a seafood place now. That used to be Church's. And up the road here, across from this railroad track, was the best barbecue you ever had in your life. Isn't it sad that I know where all these freaking food places are? Of course. Your boy is a hoodie. I mean, a foodie. whatever they call the hell that, whatever they call the hell that. It's up the hill, right past this large building. If it's still there. Man, I drank that drink and it's making me feel like all energized and shit. Maybe it's not in existence anymore. There used to be a barbecue place that was off the chain. Well, I haven't gone far enough because there's the railroad tracks up here. And I know that's an old school saying, off the chain. But as you can see, there's a lot of tire places. Very rundown area. And imagine driving past these areas like this food store. It's exactly what you see in the movies. There used to be people hanging out, drinking, drugging, doing drug deals, all kinds of stuff. One of the areas that people warn you not to go is Evans Street, which we're nowhere near it. But I guess they closed that barbecue place down because I don't see it. But it used to be on this road. Evans Street is up ahead. Let me see. There it is, right there. Robinson's Barbecue. And it's nothing more than a little building, but they have ribs, beef links, sausage, and chicken. I promise you, if you are ever in Fort Worth, I shit you not, you go to that place, you will not be disappointed and you will not leave hungry. I promise you. I promise you those things that I'm saying them right now. But there's a method to my madness because, not only am I taking you around here, I'm showing you how certain things can be looking like one thing but are totally something else. Up here at this light, I think this is Evans because there's a shopping center up here. This is the worst neighborhood in Fort Worth. This street right here. Doesn't look like much, but if you're ever in Fort Worth late at night, keep your ass off Evans Avenue. And I'm not bluffing when I say this. Unless it's totally been cleaned up, which the last I heard it had not. Damn it. Okay. And we have crossed the road, and there's where I used to work. So these places are not far from each other. And usually the people, let's see what the reviews say about this place. We do recover, don't give up hope, and don't be late. This was a year ago. Most of the staff are nice and helpful, but the place is always unclean. Long wait. 3 years ago. So it's always interesting. It's always interesting to read the reviews and stuff as well. So let me know in the chat what you think about my little tour that I'm giving you of the DFW area. Isn't that pretty cool that you can zoom in on somebody's cart and see exactly what's going on? See, that man has it so bad he's not even matching his shoes. So if you think you're having a bad day, think about this man right here. Damn it. And there's been plenty of murders on this street. There's been plenty of murders. This used to be a tire shop. It looks like it kind of is still. But like I was saying about that individual right there, It's on that bridge. If you think you're having a bad day, think about him. And I'm going to show you one more place before I get off here. Let me know what you think about the tour that I'm giving you around this area. What that place called? Pine Street. And this is the area where my friend used to work, and this is where all the homeless shelters are at. This is called Pine Street. This is where the buses let off. And as you can see, there's already some people right there that are homeless or getting off the bus, one or the other. I'm trying to see what direction I need to go. Because these places right over here are offices that help people who are homeless or drug addicted. And that's where my friend used to work. But all this area right here, it's full of shelters and churches that help people get food and all kinds of stuff. But during certain parts of the day, this place is saturated, or used to be saturated with homeless people. This is Lancaster. You would ride by here, and that's all you'd see is homeless people all around. So when I get on these lives and I tell and I talk about certain things, it isn't that I'm making stuff up. I'm merely just giving you some life experiences that I've seen. And if I can relate that to what I'm talking about, then I do it. But I've seen a lot of stuff. I'm 54 years old. I've seen a lot of stuff while living in this area. And not a lot of it has been very good. Had I had a video camera at that point, I would have been able to document a lot of things that influencers document today, Because real life story is there's people that are hurting right now all over the world. There are people that don't have anything. See, you look at this building, but you look at the individual standing in front of it, and it makes you wonder, what is this building, and are they welcoming the people that aren't dressed in three-piece suits? See, there's people just sitting around. And what you see a lot of times is just that. And this is a clinic. So when I speak on the things I speak on, I'm not speaking on somebody else's. See, there's a mission right there where people can go for food and shelter. But there's only so many people they let in per day. I'm not speaking on things that I see on videos. Most of the stuff I speak on is life experience. and where I've been in life. You know what I mean? Because I haven't been sheltered by no means. I have been in these streets, walking around, just looking and seeing because I didn't grow up seeing all this stuff. I didn't grow up in these streets. But as I grew up and started living in this area, I was curious. You know, curiosity gets the best of you sometimes. And it makes you wonder the next time that you bitch about having a bad day or certain things should be done one way or the other, think about this person right here, how bad they really have it. This is everything they own. And if it's cold out there, that's all they have to do to keep warm. So all the griping and all the we should worry about this person, that person going free, and all the true crime stuff. And I'm not getting on my high horse here, but I'm really keeping it 100. This is reality. This is real life. And whatever your perception is of the homeless, just remember this. We're all one situation away from losing it all. And most people would not be able to survive on these streets. They wouldn't. A lot of these homeless people were living under these bridges. As you can see, there's probably some garment there. But the city kicked them out of them. Doesn't mean they still don't go and try to, live under these bridges whenever it's rainy or whenever it's cold. You know, you don't have to go very far before you see somebody walking around who has their whole possession that they own on their back. So I'm trying to tell you this. Sure, true crime is fun, and sure, true crime is interesting, and it's always nice to know and ask questions of certain things. But this is real life right here. You think you're having a bad day? Imagine being this individual that has to be in this tent because this is all they got. And this is probably a shoe they didn't even realize they dropped. You're living in a place because something won't allow you to be in a shelter at that point of the day. And you're tired because you're up all night, and most people sleep all day because it's safer than sleeping at night. So this is Fort Worth. There's the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I could pick any city in America and do the same thing I'm doing right now. And show you how good we really do have it. If you're watching this for the first time, don't think I'm preaching to you or that I'm trying to get you to feel a certain way because I'm not. But the reality is this we spend so much time worrying about other people and other situations in true crime that have already been settled or are in the process of being settled that we never even really take a look at the people that are really hurting that could benefit from our exposure of these situations. Where I live, there's not enough homeless population for me to really go out and speak to the homeless. You get what I'm saying? I have to travel a little bit. But what I'm saying is this: you don't know how good you have it until one situation hits you and you lose it all. And if that happened to you, would you be able to survive? I'm not talking about survive by using other people's couches. I'm talking about being able to survive as in living in the element with everything you own on your back or in a shopping cart. And think about what the title says. Let's say some of these people get rescued off these streets to be given money, shelter, food, and they're offered this for them selling their bodies. Is that really a moral judgment there? Or is it out of necessity most of the time? You make that call. I hope you've enjoyed this. My name is 12 Gauge, and this is my channel, 12 Gauge Investigative. I don't always cover stories like this, and I don't always do the map thing, but I really enjoyed that tonight, and I hope you did as well. Thank you so much for the people that dropped into the chat. I wish you all well, and if you're not doing so well, I'll keep you in prayer. And if this is your first time to ever view the channel, give it a chance. You know, there's not always going to be dramatics. There's not always going to be just one case. And you're not always going to agree with me. And that's fine. Give the channel a chance and see where we go. Because we need to move in a different direction because there's plenty of stuff out there that need to be exposed for the right reasons, not just for assumption. And that's all I have for you tonight. Like I always say, one more, let me change the QR code. This one is my QR code. If you want to donate to my Cash App for any reason, feel free to. This one is for the American Heart Association. If you want to go to their website and donate anything that you can, more than welcome to do that as well. And anybody on replay, these are the links. Y'all have a wonderful night, and I hope that you stay safe out there. And like I always say, always watch your six. Maestro, cue that music.